Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is a love that is stronger than fear. We will return with the devotion after a brief message from our sponsors.
Egard Watch Company is a rarity today. They stood up against Hollywood and political elites, pushing narratives like toxic masculinity, allowing men and women's sports, and trying to defund the police. Now Egard is standing up for the most important thing of all, faith. Visit egardwatches.com, where code 20EGARD saves 20%. Egard's collection of Christian jewelry and watches are made with the goal of raising awareness and supporting Christians persecuted worldwide. egardwatches.com, code 20EGARD saves 20%.
Do you feel like God has placed a call in your heart to write, but you keep getting discouraged? Maybe you've dreamed of writing a book, but you're not sure where to start, or if your words even matter. This month on the Salvation Army's weekly podcast, Words of Life, we're sitting down with Christian authors and writers of all kinds to talk about why the written word still matters and how God continues to use it powerfully in His kingdom today.
So the act of putting pen to paper and just putting into words what's going on inside my head was my way to start processing the world around me. I found very naturally that lent itself to conversation with God.
I think it's important that we recognize something really beautiful and tangible about writing. There's a power in it that is created by God, who is the Word.
Listen to Words of Life on your favorite podcast store or visit wordsoflifepodcast.org.
Held by a love stronger than fear. Written and read by Sarah Frazer. Many of us carry a fear we rarely name, the fear that love can leave. The only love we see is often a love that is distant, disappointing. For me, sometimes love feels fragile. That's because the love we often experience is a conditional love. It is a love that depends on how we act, perform, or even our moods. How many relationships have been broken and lost because love was withdrawn, withheld, or just abandoned? Human relationships are indeed fragile, weak, and easily broken. Even if we experience a love that lasts, we still distrust a true kind of love we see in the Bible. Friend, God's love is not fragile. The Apostle John gives us a picture of God's love here. He says, "And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. This is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." 1 John 4:16-18. The book of 1 John was a letter written to Christians in the first century. The new church was experiencing intense persecution and suffering. When we face hardships, we question God's love for us. John spends so much time through this letter explaining God's love to them, so they would rest in a love that was strong, eternal, and not rooted in fear. John uses the word know here. We do not guess or hope in God's love. We can know it. We also rely on it. This word means to rest our entire weight on. We can sit down, rest, and be confident in this type of love. Human love can waver, disappear, or get lost. Fear grips our hearts when we think about the loves that have left. Whether by death or choice, human love will always be vulnerable. Only God loves us fully, completely, and without condition. God's love is something we are invited here in John's letter to depend upon. John also says that God is love. That means that God is more than just loving, but his very nature is one of love. What makes God who he is has to include love. There's a permanence here. His love cannot leave because it is woven into the fabric of who he is. God would not be God unless he loved us. That means that this love is never revoked, nor is it ever threatened by our weakness, doubt, or fear. Fear grows when we lose sight of God's love for us. If we continually see our inadequacies as a measure of God's love for us, we will always fear. We will always be afraid that we will lose God's love. But when we begin to see how secure God's love for us is, that's when fear begins to shrink. Fear is tied to punishment and loss. In 1 John 4:17-18, he makes it clear that love has made us complete. This type of love leads to confidence, not anxiety. Fear whispers, "What if I lose love?" God's love answers, "You are held." This is the power of God's love over fear. We are held by a love that is stronger than fear. I'll admit, fear feels very strong in my life. It seems to start small, but then grow if I allow the worries and doubts to take over my mind. If I ever encounter a love that is uncertain, or when I face the sting of rejection by someone else, I have to guard against fear. Fear likes to settle into our hearts. If we allow that to happen, we lose sight of God's love and begin to guard ourselves away. John reminds us that as Christians, we are shaped by a love that is beyond all fear. As we learn to rest in the love God offers us, we can feel our fears give way to faith. We can find ourselves confident, grounded, in a love that is steady, secure, and strong enough to hold us. Intersecting faith and life. Our experiences with people often shape how we expect love to behave. If love has been inconsistent or even withheld, fear can quickly influence the way we relate to God as well. But God's love is something we can rely on. How has your past or present relationships shaped the way you experience or expect love to behave? In what area of your life might God be inviting you to replace fear-driven striving with deeper reliance on His love? Additional reading: Psalm 27:1, Isaiah 54:10, John 14:27, Romans 8:15.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
Praying Christian Women, the podcast that brings Christian women together to talk about the deep questions about prayer that we're all thinking, but sometimes afraid to ask. Hi, I'm Jamie Hampton, and my podcast partner Alana Terry and I would absolutely love for you to join us as we discuss what it means to be a woman of prayer in the 21st century. This podcast will be your go-to for biblical encouragement, inspiration, and practical tips to equip you with the tools you need to live out a more passionate, powerful prayer life. Tune in now at lifeaudio.com or your favorite podcasting app.
I'm Mark Vinette, host of the Historical Jesus podcast, which presents the new series, Miracles, focusing on biblical miracles from the Old and New Testament. Join me on the Historical Jesus podcast as I explore the interesting, compelling, intriguing, and wonderful miracle stories of the Bible and the many great miraculous events inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.